I'm just in this real mellow, chill out, play some beautiful guitar things at the moment. It must be the mood I'm in. It's not enough coffee is probably what it is. Today we are going to be doing a lesson on vibrato. So we've already covered what is vibrato. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. It explains what it is, how it is. Maybe you can have a look at it and see if it is something you want to do. And if you are that person who's already seen that video and you're like, yes, I want to learn vibrato. Mark, show me how to do vibrato. Today we're going to be doing that, at least the way I do vibrato. So I'm playing on an acoustic guitar with very heavy strings in that, so it is kind of hard to achieve vibrato on an acoustic guitar. It's not impossible, but I'm doing it on one of these as well. On electric guitar, so much easier because the strings are lighter. It sort of lends itself to bending and doing vibrato and that sort of thing really well. However, we're going to stick with, in this case, the bottom two strings. But in fact, the second string is the easiest one to practice on because it's thin and it's got some flexibility, and we want to do that and get it confidence up, and then go and try and translate that onto other notes. So the note we're going to be doing today to practice vibrato is going to be the fifth fret on the second string. Okay. So in this case, it's an E. And we're going to show you how to do that with various different fingers, okay? Or at least along the neck here. So the way I do vibrato, I've got quite a deep vibrato, and it's kind of a slow pulse to it. I'll show you it. So that's my vibrato. So I'll show you how I achieve vibrato. You can speed it up and we'll make it wider or skinnier, or depending, however you want to experiment with that to make it your own and make it sound like what you're hearing in your head. And so I'll show you what I'm doing first. Okay, so with the first finger, it's a little bit different to the other fingers when doing vibrato. The way I've got it is I've got it anchored, my thumb's high, and my first finger is tucked up against the neck of the guitar. And what I'm doing is I'm grabbing and locking in position the string. So it's quite strong, it's quite firm. It's not just relaxed, because then I'll get no purchase on the strings. I'm actually wanting to bend the string and pull it down. Okay? Hear the note change slightly. And the way I'm doing that, I'm actually using the bottom half of my hand to leverage it away. Okay? It's exaggerated slightly. So what I'm doing is slowly, and I'm returning the note to its original position, okay? A lot of people think when they're bending a string that if you could imagine a line, so here's the line of the string, the actual string itself, and when you're bending it, I'm pulling it down and putting it back to its original position again. A lot of people think you're bending it down and you're pushing it back up past the original position again and back down again. Do you know what I mean by that? So if here's my original string, the ratio is that, you're not wanting that. You're just wanting the note to be pulled down and back to the original position again. That's what you want. Or if you're bending it the other way, you want it to come back to the original position. Otherwise you'll get this sort of thing. Hear that? It's just terrible. You want it to come back to the original position if I'm pulling it down. So you're just letting the contact be on the guitar, but it coming back to its original position. Or if you're bending it up, like you want your vibrato to go in an upwards direction, maybe it's the bottom string you're doing and you can't pull it down because it'll fall off the guitar, like fall off the neck. You want to push it up. So both of those ways, by the way, you need to get really good at. So we're just using the first finger, pulling the note down and letting it come back to the original position. First thing, that's all you need to do. Just once, and making sure you keep good contact. When you first do that, it might be quite painful. In fact, it is quite painful to do over and over. And you also might find that your finger might ping off, or it might just slip around a lot. Don't be too worried about that. It's just the ends of your the tips of your fingers need to harden up. So you're using the leverage of the hand tucked in against the neck, that's keeping strong, and you're pulling away the hand, and then coming back to the original position again. And eventually you get good at it, so you can repeat it, and the weight of your hand doing this sort of movement, that weighted like leverage is going to give you the evenness of the vibrato. Because if it was just you scratching away, like scratching the neck with the guitar with your finger, it would be uneven. You can hear it scratching. I can't even do it properly because it's so horrible to do that way. That's a really unnatural way to do it. We want it to be leveraged, and that's done by our arm and our elbow. So our elbow and our arm actually has a lot to do with the vibrato. It gives us the consistency of the vibrato. Otherwise you sort of end up with a couple of fast ones and a couple of slow ones and a couple of deep ones and a couple of small ones. It needs to be kind of the same the whole time to give it vibrato. Obviously that's over exaggerated, but it's the same each time. And you might want to exaggerate it to get to that point where it makes sense. So that's pulling it down. Now the opposite of that is pushing it up. So, and it's the opposite of that. It means we're pushing it up to change the note and bringing it back, and pushing it up and changing it back. Notice my wrist position. I'm using my wrist and arm together. You can't quite see the arm, but the arm is just very subtle. It's just very subtly doing this little motion, and that gives us your note. And if you want to do it fast, you just do it fast and you get a different sound out of it, okay? So the first finger is probably the hardest one to do, to be honest, but the first finger is, that's the way you do it. It's leveraged, and that's how you get it. If you want your second finger to do it, it's similar, but a lot easier because we've got a little bit more strength. We've got a lot more hand movement to use. So we can pull it down, try doing vibrato down and vibrato up. Now, the vibrato down, my wrist is in this position. Vibrato up, I'm more in this position. It's more facing me. I'm more doing this towards my face for the upwards vibrato. For down, it's kind of pointed away, and I'm pushing against the side as if I'm leveraging against the neck of the guitar, okay? Now the third finger comes in and does the vibrato. You can actually help it out with the second finger quite easily, or even the first finger. Now I've got all three fingers doing the same note. See, the third finger's doing the note. I'm pulling the note down. Very easy to do because now I've got all the strength of those other, it's like a, if you imagine in rugby, being a Kiwi, I'm going to talk about rugby. In a scrum, you've got a whole bunch of people in a scrum pushing together against their opponents. And the more people you have together, bound together, like holding each other and pushing, the stronger you will be. It's the same idea. You've got three, all combined, three fingers. It's very, very, oh, that's so easy to do, and pull that string down. In fact, if you're struggling with the first bit, maybe it's a good idea to start with this, to start with the three fingers pulling the string down. Remember to come back to the original position though. Don't bend the string out of position. You'll get, that's my note, you end up with not quite coming back to the note again, it's going out of tune. Come back to the same position each time, or upwards. So both of those need to be good. And then you've got the third finger. Let it be helped out with the other fingers. So that's one note. An idea is to go through a whole scale shape using all the different fingers. So if you had a scale shape, I always do my A minor pentatonic scale shape. If you were to go through that whole scale shape, start with the first note, little finger, pulling them down, helping it out with the other fingers. That's what I'd be doing, just getting a real good vibrato. Trying to get some vibrato out of all those strings. Obviously I've got acoustic guitar, so I've only got a little bit of movement. You can hear it's subtle. And at the bottom string, really you need to push up for the bottom string, otherwise you'll fall off the edge of the guitar. Push it up for those ones. And getting really good vibrato. So that's a very basic introduction to the way I do vibrato. There's a lot of other nuances to it, but experiment, take your time, it's really worthwhile. It's really worthwhile doing. It's going to make you sound so amazing by having good vibrato. It's worthwhile spending the time. Really is the difference between an amateur and a professional, is when I sit down with an amateur and they play an awesome little guitar solo, the difference is that mine has vibrato and it just has that little edge of, actually quite a big edge, of sounding like it's singing, whereas theirs just sounds like notes that they're picking out. So be aware of that, and I reckon it's something really worthwhile aiming at getting a really good vibrato, because it is the most personal thing you can add to your playing. So with that, please go away, add it to your playing. Don't spend all day doing this, because this is just an aspect. After a little bit of practice, you'll start to see it blending into your playing and becoming part of your playing. So with that, go away and practice that, and maybe you'll give it a good 5 minutes or so. And if your fingers get a bit sore, just give yourself a bit of a rest, because it's pretty intense. Now, if you really like my style of teaching, if you really like the advice I'm giving, please go and check out jamarama.com. You've got access to all my videos. There's a whole bunch of free stuff there. There's backing tracks, all sorts of stuff. Also, if you like my stuff, please subscribe and tell your friends. I would love to see more people subscribing, make the channel humongous. And I hope to see you very soon on maybe another lesson on soloing. We'll see you later.